I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, today we're reading from the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 5, and let's focus on verses 4 through 8. In the name of our Lord Jesus, when you are assembled along with my spirit, and with the power of our Lord Jesus, turn that one over to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, so that his spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord. Your boasting is not good. Don't you know that a little yeast permeates through the whole batch of dough? So clean out the old yeast, so that you may be a new batch, since you are unleavened. For Messiah, our Passover, has been sacrificed. Therefore, let us observe the feast not with the old yeast, nor with the yeast of malice and evil, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. Now, the church in Corinth was not lacking in any spiritual gift. Being gifted is both a blessing and it can be a curse. It is a blessing in that gifted people are divinely enabled to accomplish more than normal individuals could even dream of. But they're also cursed in that there is a higher potential for gifted people to fall into pride. Gifted folks tend to crave glory for their gifted accomplishments while denying God the glory that He deserves for having gifted them in the first place. So the church leaders in Corinth were so proud of their congregation's reputation of giftedness that they chose to defend their reputation rather than to address their reality. What does that mean? Well, by boasting of their giftedness while ignoring sin issues, they ceased being shepherds, and they took up the mantle of publicists. Let me say that again. By boasting of their giftedness, because there's a lot of churches deal with this, and then ignoring sin issues, they cease being shepherds and take up the mantle of publicists. And in doing this, they choose to offend God rather than damaging the reputation in the short term of offending men by exposing sin and then dealing with it so that men would be blessed. And I have heard it said by some preachers that Gentiles are not allowed to celebrate the Passover Seder, that it's not for Gentiles, only for Jews. Well, that's not true. That's an ignorant thing to say. When I say ignorant, I don't mean stupid. I just mean that's not according to the Bible. The Torah of Moses allows for Gentiles to observe the Seder, given certain criteria, which all believers meet, by the way. And in the New Testament, the Apostle Paul also indicated that Gentile believers in the early church were observing the Seder. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 8, therefore let us observe the feast with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. So those who have seen me lead a Passover Seder remember the tradition of clearing the house of leaven, or as it says in today's chapter, yeast. Well, before the Seder, this is what happens. And that is exactly the image that Paul is using in order to rebuke the believers in Corinth, which indicates that all of the Corinthians, both Jew and Gentile, were familiar with the Passover Seder imagery. Something special about the Passover Seder is how it is to be observed in homes. It is at once personal and it is also national at the same time. Paul is telling us that we must personally purge our sinful ways before we attempt to purge the leaven from our communities. And if that process is successful, then communities should come together to collectively help purge sin nationally and ultimately globally. You see, sin is spread inversely. That is, if we are not personally accountable, well, then we won't be accountable to a local body of believers. Our churches will not rally together to take a stand against national or a local sin, and we will lose our effectiveness in the world at large. So let's turn that upside down, keep seeking the Lord, keep obeying His word, and then keep sharing what He has revealed to you. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people just like you. And yes, we do need your monthly support. Donating is secure and it's also easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know, another way to help is to just tell people about Groundworks Ministries. You can share these podcasts with friends and family, share them on your social media, and of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.